today's session kind of piggybacks off of a meeting I went to, the broker summit with the top 200 Remax owners in the whole entire network. We were down for 3 days, masterminding, sharing ideas. And I kind of, developed today's session around that meeting and some of the things that came to me. And one of the things that impacted me as I was speaking to a gentleman whose father took him down, I think he was 5 years ago, from Ohio down to Florida with zero. And, the guy used these techniques and strategies to, probably be one of the wealthiest individuals in the county where they were. And, it started out as one of those stories where they didn't have anything when they made their move, and they wound up, gradually building up over a period of time to, what would seem to be unrecognizable great success. And this gentleman, Michael, shared with me that, when he was young, he remembered that his father and his mother, used to have some spirited debates about whether they made the right decision making a dramatic move like that, probably in the early 60s, I guess it was. And secondly, is he noticed that his father had all of his goals posted in his dresser closet door, and he would look at it every morning. And this is somebody who was observing this in his, youth, probably 2 to 10 years old. He was like observing what his dad did. And, Tony Robbins has a quote which says, "The difference between a must and should is the life you want versus the life you have. We don't get what we want, we get what we have to have. When something is a must, you find a way." Anybody ever hear that quote from Tony? I know it's a mouthful. Anybody? Nobody's ever heard that?
Yeah, I heard it before.
Okay. And I think the difference between, wanting something and doing what it takes to get it is, it's monstrous. It's enormous. And it's kind of the thing that keeps you going when, it seems like there would be failure. Everyone in this Zoom meeting here at one point got your license brand new. And what do they tell you when you get a brand new license?
80% of you will fail.
I mean, I think 80% fail in the first year, and what, 90% or 95 in 5 years? It's like astronomical failure rate. Why would anybody sign up, right? Dan? I mean, it sounds like a really great thing to do. 95% will be out of business in 5 years and 80 in the first year. And of the 80% that survive, many of them are not doing very well. So the difference.
Well, the majority of the people that sign up when they start, they have the mindset that they're going to be in the 20%, but then their mindset shifts and other things get away. They get lazy.
And I think, people say, I should do more prospecting, I should do this instead of, I must and I will. And it's a minor shift of words, but it means it's the entirety of the outcome. Okay. And before we go into, this whole process, I think we all need to find, what's your why, right? And your why drives why this must occur, right? Everybody has a reason why we're doing this. And if we, identify our why, okay, and for some of us, the why might be, I'm doing real estate because it gives me the flexibility. And many of us might say, yeah, I could have flexibility, but it doesn't feel like I have flexibility. I feel like I'm always on call. Anybody get into real estate because of the flexibility? be honest. Okay, I see a few hands coming up. And did you ever feel like that's really not the right decision? Because the flexibility, you're always on call. You're probably not really flexible. Yes. So, and I'm sure we all know some successful people in your office or in the industry around us that have really managed to who have really mastered embracing time management, where maybe they take off Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And I even know some agents that don't work weekends. Anybody know successful agent that doesn't work weekends? Paul does. Colleen, you know any successful agents that don't work weekends? Colleen?
I don't. All
No.
the success agents I know work weekends.
They all work weekends.
So if you wanted to be a successful agent and not work weekends, what would somebody have to do? Probably have to build a team and take
Well,
a
you
lot
could
of
be list-
take
yeah,
a lot of listings.
Maybe.
listing
Yeah,
listing
commercial.
focused and leverage, right?
So I know somebody who doesn't work weekends, and you guys might know. Hang on. I know somebody that you guys might recognize as successful who doesn't work weekends. And I would say all the New Jersey people probably know this individual. And he shares my first name. Paul, you know who he is?
Rob Dukansky.
Yep. And Lisa, you actually used to work on his team, right?
I did. I started out on his team.
Now, did he work weekends or you're not sure?
I don't think he works.
Eh,
Honestly, I think that's one of the reasons why I left there's no training. I was fresh out of school and I was lost. Didn't know what to do. They have Boomtown and he emails you a video and says, here, watch it. And well, anybody who knows me knows I'm not as tech savvy as I should be in this business, but yeah, it was definitely quite a challenge.
So not a slam on Rob Dukansky, but it's an observation that, maybe Rob built a business where he doesn't have to work at this point, right?
Yeah.
And he's really not that long in the business. I don't know, what can you be, 35 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, about
33.
that.
So
Yeah.
so it's about designing the business to serve you. And I, with good belief, understand Rob not to work weekends. I do believe he does work a little bit, but he doesn't work weekends and he does okay. Right, Lisa, financially?
Very well, yes.
So it is possible if you model others and you have a strategy. Okay. And I think before anything else, I'm going to kind of share my screen now and just do this here. So it starts with, why must you have this outcome, right? If you don't have a strong must, we give up too easily, or we don't stay focused. And this is a really good exercise as we're starting to come into the business planning and all that cliche stuff about what are we going to do next year. Find out what you must do and go deep with it. I don't know if anybody wants to be a volunteer for a little bit of ad hoc coaching here. Is anybody who's in the planning phase and wants to, volunteer? Because I think you'll find that it really does go a couple layers deeper than what we generally think about it. Nobody's brave.
Hey, Rob, it's Emily. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
All right, I'll be the brave soul here, but go easy on me, okay?
I promise. So Emily, you've been doing excellent as a newer agent in the business. What's your why? Like, why must it happen?
I have a new baby at home, and for me, this career offers me maximum income with also having maximum flexibility. So if I can't make this happen, then that means that I don't have the flexibility to be home with my family.
Gotcha. And so that gives you the career, but like, what is being successful mean? Like, what is your, you know, and you can not share if you don't want to. What's your goal for 2022?
So this year I did about 9 million in sales. And so next year I'd like to do 15. My team so far has done 15 million in sales this year. And I'd like to bring that to 30 for next year.
And what does accomplishing those goals, which are almost doubling your team production, what does that mean to you?
Well, I get personal satisfaction out of helping my team to be financially independent and make this career something for them. So I don't know if that's really the the right angle, but it's a more of an emotional piece than it is a financial piece on that end.
So it makes you feel good to be a role model and guide people to success. That makes sense. But what does that, you know, and behind that, what does that ultimately mean to Emily and your family?
It also means the same for me, that I have the financial independence to be able to, you know, be at home a little more. And I apologize, the neighbors are mowing their lawn and I'm out walking with the baby, so.
Fantastic. So you know, one of the quotes that I hear from a lot of successful people, and this is like a foundation to what they believe, and it does go 2 levels deep here, Emily, is if you help enough people achieve what they want, you know, you will have no shortage or no lack of abundance in your own life, right? So your goal is not saying, hey, I'm going to make, you know, $4,200 after expenses from, you know, selling this house, or I'm going to make $9,000 from this agent if I double their business. You know, it sounds like your mindset is you want to just help people get where they need to be. And if you do that, everything will fall into place for Emily and your family. Is that fair to say?
100%.
So, what happens if things get rough and things aren't falling into place? Like, when do you quit?
So failure's not an option, but certainly if I can't help my team to be able to make a full-time salary on their business, because 2 out of the 3 ladies on my team are full-time and all into this business, then not only have I let them down, and so that emotional piece that we discussed, of course, is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking for me. But at the same time, that also means that my own personal business is then also not succeeding because we're all tied together. And I would then have to go back to corporate work, which would mean lots of travel and overnights, and therefore, you know, would take a toll on our home life.
So, you know, perhaps like even having these discussions with one-on-ones with your team members is going to elicit more leverage in helping you get where you need to be, right? Because, you know, there's under my second thing, there's a quote from Bill Gates which says, most people underestimate what they can do. Most people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. So I think people, you know, get frustrated by the short-term outcomes and they're not committed to a longer-term mission instead of a outcome. And maybe sharing when you do your business planning, coaching for your team members, you know, you go a little bit deeper to find out why, like how you can create that emotional connection. Because I know that your passion for having that flexibility is going to override a lot of bumps in the road. If that makes any sense. Right.
Absolutely. And quite frankly, if we can't meet those goals for next year, then those ladies on my team will not be able to achieve what I understand their goals to be, which is to make a full-time business out of their real estate career. So we
Yep.
all have to work together to achieve that goal, both as a team, and I'm directly tied to their success and them to mine. So it certainly creates an environment that allows us all to work together to achieve those goals.
So when something is a must, you find a way, and I'm convinced that you will find a way to do that. When something is a should, you find reasons, and you know what reasons are? Reasons why you didn't accomplish it. If it's, I really should do more prospecting, but when I make calls, people don't answer the phone, so I stop doing it. You know, that's a should, and you make excuses with reasons. When it's a must, you know where you're going. And, you know, another Tony Robbins analogy, if you get in a plane to go on a vacation to Los Angeles, your pilot in that flight is off track like 98% of the time. But how certain are you that they're going to land in Los Angeles unless there's horrific weather? It's pretty certain, right?
Yep.
And that's the same thing with our business. You know, it's a long haul flight and you're off target a lot of the time, but you know you're going to land where you need to be. That's the certainty of having it as a must and getting leverage on yourself. The second thing is to study the market when you create your personal goals and pay attention to like the total market opportunity or the total addressable market, you know, because I'll sit with some people and they'll say, hey, you know, I want to work in, you know, Morristown and I want to get, you know, X number of units and I want to be at X percentage, but they don't understand the numbers. And you know, if you have a strategy where success equals failure, where you achieve your goal but you don't achieve your financial goal, you achieve your strategy. Hey, I want to sell 2 houses a month and I want to put away 100,000 in retirement at the end of the year. It's probably not going to happen. So I would strongly encourage you, if you're a team leader, to go several layers deeper into the requirements to achieve a goal and make sure that, you know, the formula works. And I do see a lot of times when, you know, people's plan, even if they achieve it, and doesn't meet the outcome that they're looking for. The third is, you know, what is your personal vision statement? You know, and it's different than a mission statement. And a vision statement is a vision for your short-term future and your long-term future. And your mission statement is more of a now document. Does anybody have a mission or vision statement for themselves or their team? You can put it in the chat. I won't call on you if you do or if you don't. But do you think it would be helpful to have a vision statement? I'll call on Robert. You do a lot of coaching. Do you have anybody with like vision statements for themselves or their teams?
I don't necessarily know that they have a vision statement, but I'll tell you that for myself, I have a painting on the wall in my study at home of where I want to be when I retire. And if I feel that I'm not going to get there, I just know I have to work harder.
Right.
Because that's my goal. And that's what I see it every day. And it calls me every day, motivated and moving forward. I do have an agent in my office who I've been working with all this year, who now appears that she will triple her business over last year. And it was, I mean, that was what she said she wanted. She said to me she wanted to double her business when we first started. And she had that done, you know, by July. And so now this week we're talking, and it looks like she's going to triple. And she is so much happier in real estate because I think she was bordering on that 80%, but now she's solidly moving into the 20% number. And that's because she set that goal and she stuck to it and she did things that pushed her outside of her comfort level.
I mean, and you think, you know, it's interesting, Robert, because I've seen some agents that, you know, when they hit their goal in July and August, you know, they check out mentally. You've seen that before, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, and even, you know, I've seen agents who they have a closing and they like check out for 10 days because they know they've got a check coming. But the idea is that that just creates, you know, a business that's going to go like this as opposed to a business that's going to go like that. So the focus has got to be there all the time.
So I'm gonna just share with you, and I don't do this enough, but you know, our mission statement for the Remax Select Group is change lives and build communities by empowering agents and clients to make sound real estate decisions. Okay. And I'm gonna tie this into our company vision statement. Core values. And what core values are, it's a set of rules or boundaries on things that we will and will not do to achieve our goal. Okay. So, you know, we want to change lives and build communities, but we won't compromise integrity to do so, right? Because, you know, we're not going to tell a little white lie here. We're not going to do things that are not consistent with our values and our mission. Um, it is extremely, extremely, extremely hard to be long term in this business without loving what you do and doing it with purpose and hustle and having enthusiasm for what you do. Okay, so we really need to have passion. Um, in this market, more than ever, we need to have leadership skills because I went to 2 happy hours yesterday, which is probably why some people aren't here. But it was great to see everybody. And I probably was approached by 6 or 7 people saying, "Boy, this is a tough market. You know, I have this Kate, this person here. Rob, what do I do? What do I do?" Right? And I'm proud to say that we got one transaction in Clifton accepted, and I got a big high five and a hug before I left because it was the mindset, right? I mean, it was a $25,000 gap, and she was going to lose the deal. And you know, we just spoke about how do we get this to the finish line. And before the happy hour ended, we had an offer accepted at 660. And this was somebody like, here we go. This is not going to happen. My clients are stubborn. They're not going to go up. This is the highest that they want to go. They say it's not worth it. You know, we had some dialogue and conversation, and you know, we put that transaction together. And I think that leadership hopefully will go on to other clients and help others influence the outcome, right? Because we've all gotten into ruts, and you know, caring. Um, you know, I think the agent I was speaking to was genuinely frustrated for her client and wanted to have the outcome, but didn't have the direction in which to drive. Um, Accountability, abundance, innovation, and leverage. These are all our company core values, and I'd like to think everything we do revolves around these activities, from you know, getting us to work with other people, trying new things, innovation. I will say at this time, you know, our founder at our premier broker summit had said that what was the biggest deficiency he saw in agents and owners in the real estate business? And he said that, people chase too many shiny objects, and generally speaking, after 90 days, they're abandoning and going to a different strategy or a different tool. And he's like, this is the worst thing that you could ever do. You need to double down on what you're doing and execute.
I'm sorry, Rob, can you mute everybody's phone?
Sure. Yeah. Let me get out of here. Okay, you're all muted. If you want to talk, you have to unmute yourself. So this is our mission statement and our core values. Now I'm going to parlay this over to our vision statement.
So Rob, before you change, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
You said that you got an offer confirmed for 25K less than asking. May I ask, what did you do to get that offer accepted?
So there was a $25,000 difference. And what we did is we texted the listing agent, and we were like, what do we need to do to make this happen tonight? Because it was 3 days or 2 days that they hadn't responded. And the agent came back and said, if you get your people to go up $10,000 more, we can put this deal together. And the people who weren't going to pay $10,000 and weren't going to pay a penny more, agreed, and they're now going into attorney review. Okay. I don't know that there's any, super magic there, but it's a matter of persistence and saying like, hey, what do we need to do? This lady, the other listing agent, let's call her Penny. Hey, Penny, what do we need to do to make this happen tonight? And hey, I'm gonna go back to my clients and figure out what we need to do. And it also was an FHA transaction on top of that. So
Wow.
Anyway, I think, mindset matters.
So I guess that wasn't a multiple offer then.
I would assume not if it had went under asking price. I think it was on the market for 35 days or something like that. My recollection. But the point is that, this agent, was like, hey, I just lost 3 or 4 deals in a row. I can't get anything accepted. This FHA, the agent's not getting back to me. We're not that far off. The property's been on the market for 30. Like, well, let's do something to get this done, right? Let's try to, push the envelope. Let's try to have a conversation with the other agent. Anyway, vision statement and vision statements, almost apply perfectly for you as a agent as it does for the organization. Okay, so our vision statement is to be the irresistible and irreplaceable obvious choice for top agents and teams to share their vision and passion for excellence and growth. It's a mouthful, but you can substitute that to be the irresistible, irreplaceable, obvious choice for buyers and sellers, right? And when you're the obvious choice, people come to us instead of chasing. Does that sound like something that could easily be your personal vision statement, right? And if you get in front of a motivated buyer or seller, that you're going to be the obvious choice, you're going to be irresistible and irreplaceable, and they're going to want to work with you almost every time, if not every time. What do you think, Colleen? Does that make sense for an agent as well as an organization?
Absolutely.
And the sad part about this, Colleen, I'm going to tell you because we've been in the business a long time, is there are a lot of quality agents that do spectacular jobs for their clients, but they don't have the ability to communicate their value proposition succinctly and precisely, right? We all get a little bit nervous and have a little bit of anxiety and demons in our head. As a matter of fact, another agent last night was telling me that they're, and this is a true story, Colleen. They're like, Rob, I'm comfortable. Like, I've sold the house for $1.3 million, maybe a little bit nervous, but now I have a buyer looking to buy 2 to 2.5 million in Englewood Cliffs and Alpine, and I just don't feel like I don't feel like I'm comfortable with it. Now, let me ask you this, Colleen, what do you think her chances are of completing a sale?
I don't think they're very good. She's starting with a negative.
Right, but
She should be excited and know that she's the best at what she does. And that she's going to help these people fulfill their dream.
have you seen this before? It's self-sabotaging.
All the time.
And there's not much of a difference other than what's in our mind between 1.3 million that, you know, this agent closed successfully and 2 to 2.5 million. To me, I'm not really seeing the difference, but for her, it was challenging. Like, hey, it's only my second full year in the business. I'm not sure why they're going to trust me to do a $2 to $2.5 million sale. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, you need to get over it, or they're gonna run from you.
I had an agent who told me that, you know, I'm not comfortable. I don't know. And I said, why? What do you think the difference in a person is? A buyer is a buyer. You want to help them get the very best property they can. I said, you do a good job. You're attentive. You give attention. What do you think more do they deserve? What are they expecting?
Colleen, can you unmute yourself? I just had to mute everybody. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What I said was, I had an agent who felt like that. And I said, what do you think these people are expecting? What do you think, you know, how do you think you're not qualified to help them? And she said, well, you know, I haven't sold anything in that price range. And I said, you know, a property is a property. A person is a person. They want to get their home. You want to help them get it. You do a very good job. You have good attention to detail. Yes, I do. I said, are you excited to help them? Oh yeah, this would be terrific. Then what's the problem?
Yep.
And she said to me, you know what? You're right. There is no problem. I said, well, then move forward. And now I'm here to support you. It's the thought process. They have a negative thought before they even begin the process, which is a sure, you know, way to doom your production.
And
it's not going to happen if you think it's not.
And
if you believe in yourself and believe it'll happen, it will.
And without naming names, we've all in this business have dealt with agents that have been on our team and the other team where they're like, oh my God, this deal isn't going to happen. They have a negative attitude from the beginning, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we've also seen people who beyond facts say that we're going to get this deal done. And you're like, how the hell are we getting this done? There's contamination, oil tank, and underappraised. They're like, no worries, we'll figure it out. Right. And they get it done. And you're laughing, Colleen. And I see, Robert, you got a little smirk because you know it happens that way. There are some people that are completely solution oriented. No matter what, they're going to find a solution if it's humanly possible to get it done. Then there are other people are going to find any little bump in the road, any little roadblock to derail a transaction. In terms of vision statement, you know,
Rob, if I could just add one thing, you know, it all comes back to, you know, every one of these masterminds, we talk about confidence, and confidence is the key in this business. You know, back in February of this year, when the market was like totally berserk, I presented an offer on a house at full asking price, not over, that had a home sale contingency, and got it accepted. And without any negotiation on the part of the seller, after they had said to me, no, we're not going to take a home sale concession. But I still presented it, and I presented it in a way that said, you know, I'm going to sell their house this weekend, you know, and you don't need to worry about it, and we'll get this deal done. And they believed me, and I did sell the house in a weekend, and the deal closed without going over. So it's confidence. It's the ability to impress the people that you're in conversation with, the fact that you know what you're doing, And it doesn't matter if it's a $2 million house or it's a $400,000 house. If you know what you're doing, you know what you're doing. You know, I know that for a while when I was first starting out, and I was very fortunate to come into contact with some very high up influential people who, in my own mind, I felt I was not of the same level with them to be able to really talk to them in a sensible way. But I talked to them the way I taught myself to talk to everyone else. And suddenly they were listening and I was doing very well. It's confidence in your own ability that is going to be the key to any of these. There's an agent in my office who you will recognize, Rob. She presented 3 offers 2 days ago. And she called me up. She says, I'm presenting 3 offers and I'm going to get all 3. And she got all 3 because of the way that she presented them. And,
I think she was just lucky that day.
you know, but she,
I'm just kidding.
she wrote up 2 more offers yesterday. One of them's already been accepted.
So, Robert, that reminds me of there was an agent, I think it was Morgan Belvin, who was working with a VA buyer going back a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years ago, and I think they lost 6 or 7 transactions. She was like, lovely couple, but I have to drop them, Rob. This is insanity. And I had actually told her, give it one more shot, but I said, present the offer in person. And you know, it happened because we role played how we present the offer. And the presenting the offer was, hey, people are pre-approved, same as cash. You know, they've done the process and went through the major terms with the agents, with the other agent in person, you know, getting their consent and saying, hey, do you think we can get this signed by your sellers by tomorrow, or do you need until the weekend? Like having discussions like that, not like, hey, will your seller accept it? Are they concerned about a VA? I mean, I think a VA loan in the marketplace, because of the no down payment, is frightening to a lot of agents to work with. And if you just email it over there, you're probably just going to get in the trash can. So I was just joking when I said she was lucky. It was not luck. It was it was confidence, competence, and certainty in the outcome when the activities are being done. You know, and analogies be damned, but I'm going to say it, like, if you were, you know, watching football and, you know, there's 1 minute left and Tom Brady has the ball and they're down by 4, you don't bet against him. You know, more times than not, you know, that's going to be a bad bet because he's done it, you know, tens, if not hundreds of times. And it's just like, all right, here we go again, right? The deal is going to be sealed. They're going to win the game. And that's how we need to act and behave as agents when we have, you know, transactions. And, you know, it's not just you know, a commission. It's, you know, you're changing lives. If we go back to, you know, our, back here.
I think you froze, Rob.
What's that?
Froze.
You froze.
Oh, are you good now?
Yeah.
So our mission statement is change lives and build communities by empowering agents and clients. So we're not changing lives if nothing happens, right? You know, if if time is running out in the game and we're not winning, you know, I guess we're changing lives in a bad way, but we're not changing lives the way that we intended to do it.
Rob,
Yeah.
there's a great little book. It's called The Nature of Success. It's really pretty. Oops,
Uh-huh.
can't. I had it there a minute.
Yep.
But I think it's a book everybody should have. It just discuss, you know, it gives you everything: passion, enthusiasm, belief, dare to soar, manage your desires, thirst after knowledge. But it just puts everything in a nutshell. And I think if you believe in yourself and you believe in your abilities, nothing can stop you.
Yep. And the beautiful part about this, Colleen, is that, you know, you are thriving by helping others. Like, I don't see a way that you do it in a vacuum where you're not adding value and helping others and having that positive outcome. I just don't see it. So in terms of, here we
You
go.
froze again.
One of the agents put in the chat that they just approach every transaction as we're going to close. Whatever happens.
And it's it might be, you know, some people might, that's tough to do in this environment, but it's necessary, you know.
Right.
If you want to be the trusted resource, you have to have that attitude. So we need to have specific goals that are attainable in light of where the market is. We need to have our vision statement must be specific and consistent, supporting our mission statement. You know, sometimes the fourth one is challenging. You need to measure the results, adapt, and make changes, right? You know, a great example of this is, you know, if you're not the fittest person on the planet and you want to, you know, get into better shape, you know, the easiest way to measure it is in the morning you step on the scale, it doesn't lie to you. You know, it tells you, did you put too much bad stuff in your mouth and did you not move around enough? Right? It's measuring the results. I think, Robert, in Pittsburgh, one of our speakers talked about this quote. In the new world, it's not the big fish that eats the small fish, which is good for most of us. It's the fast fish that eats the small fish. Okay, so if you're not able to move and adapt and change, you are vulnerable, and it's a competitive disadvantage. That makes sense, and I think that's really refreshing for a business where most of us are solopreneurs, right? We do a lot of the things ourselves, and we're competing against, you know, big organizations that can't move that quick. So we need to measure the results, adapt, and make changes. And making changes is the moving fast part. And the last piece is disciplined execution. And I have two quotes that I think are appropriate with this component, which is, one is, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work another day in your life. You know, I got that from our Googling that quote because I love it. And if you really like what you do, your day goes by, you know, really quickly. And if you're struggling with it and you're not loving what you do, the day can drag. It's like watching a clock, you know, it never seems to move. So, you know, this disciplined execution also plays into a quote, and I don't know who had this quote, but both successful and unsuccessful people have things that they don't like to do, but the successful people just do it anyway. Right? And I'm probably butchering the quote, but you all get the gist of it. You know, there are successful and unsuccessful people wake up in the morning, oh, I don't want to prospect, you know, I don't want to go to the gym, I don't want to do this. But it's the successful person who doesn't want to do it, doesn't feel like doing it, but still goes through and does it anyway. And, you know, that's a really important distinction. You know, within our organization, as we grow, there's so much great talent. And, you know, if you're in the top 20% of the company or the top 10% of your office, you're invited to an event on the 9th, our inaugural T2 meeting. And if you're a team leader and you have that tremendous obligation to serve people on your team, you're also invited to this. And it's a mastermind alliance. You know, the coordination of knowledge and effort of two or more people who work towards a defined purpose in the spirit of harmony. Like, we're all in the same boat and we live in an abundant world. And, if we can freely find a forum to share the things that work, we're all going to be that much better, for having that opportunity to have resources and share with others things that are working and things that aren't working. Because I think we all probably agree, or we all should evaluate it and look at how quickly this market is changing. And, the fact that there are so many competitors coming into the market say that it's a vibrant opportunity. And if there weren't people coming into the market, we should probably be a little bit concerned about the viability of it. So if you, stop and just, avoid the superficial read of this and you go deep on this, I think it will anchor you to outcomes that will be, like Robert Garver said, doubling your business, might even become tripling it, because everything starts to fall into place. And, I think very few, it's a overwhelming majority of people who don't go in and business plan and get the leverage on themselves that they need to have that consistent success. Right. And for all the managers on this call, I encourage you to go deeper with your agents to all right, you want to double your business, right? Well, tell me, how are you going to do that? What market are you going to work in? Because just saying it doesn't make it so, right? And, most people, if they say they want to double their business, they're probably not going to say, hey, I really slacked off 50% of the time last year. I'm actually just going to work this year. I wouldn't really feel comfortable that agent is going to meet that threshold. There needs to be a valid strategy. Our leadership team, our local managers, I'm calling on you to step it up another level to people who want to have help and, identify exactly how they can get it done with 100% certainty. Dan, are you somewhere where you can talk?
Yep.
So Dan, if you have you ever sat with an agent and you know exactly what they need to do to get the job done to increase the business from 2.5 to 7 million, which is a big difference. If they're willing to do that, like, how confident are you as a leader that it's going to happen?
I'm very confident.
Right, because it's been done before. It's not rocket science.
It's got to be measured, and it's got to be consistent, and you got to be able to pivot whenever something's not working, or like you said before, when you got to continue to push through and do those things that you need to do. That's, I think, the hardest part to kind of stay consistent, and also know what to do and how to pivot to be able to continue on the track that you need to go on. And a lot of it, like we've spoken about, is your positive mindset, knowing the end goal before you do it.
Yeah, and even more so, like, you might have a goal of, hey, you want a bigger house for your family, you want to get a second home, you want to, when you retire, you want to have no debt. Like, how many people actually write these things out and come up with a plan that's going to get them there? Like, if your business plan is like a lot of your colleagues in the industry is, to continue to work until you can, or to continue to work until you die, that's really not a great strategy unless it's what you love.
Right.
And sometimes it's painful to take a look at it and figure out what do you need to do, but that pain reinforces the activities to stay away from it, right?
Yep. And also when you have failures, really being able to look in the mirror and say, instead of bitching about the other person or the other agent or whatever, the client, or the circumstances, what I try to do is look in the mirror and say, how could I have maybe done something a little bit differently, and shake it off and move forward. And the next time it happens, and damn well not going to happen again, but I think too much, myself included with that, sometimes we get wrapped up in the bullshit or whatever that comes up in the transactions, and it kind of throws your energy off. So be able to bring yourself to center and be able to stay on track, I think is absolutely key. And have somebody, the support from our organization and local management, I think is fantastic,
And to be clear, this business has its challenges, right? And no matter how long you've been doing it, there are things that you've never seen that you need to address and overcome and figure it out. And those are part of the things I think that makes it interesting, right? Because every transaction's got something different going on in it. And as a leader, Dan, I'm sure you see things probably every month that you're like, wow, I never really had to address that before, but let's figure it out, right?
Yep. I mean, you're on some of the calls, so I mean, and that's, I think, part of what makes it exciting, but also, staying focused on the solution rather than the minutia of like how we got there or what the problems are and who's bickering over what. Really, like you mentioned, what you did last night. I mean, I think that's just proof that that'll outshine really anything if you put forth your effort.
I mean,
No, I just like to add one more thing on that, in line with that. I talk a lot on these masterminds about the successes that I've had in real estate. And I just want to point out that if you were to ask my wife over the 16 years that I've been a realtor, how many times I've said to her, oh, I don't think this deal's going to make it to the closing table. She would tell you just about every time. But then the idea is that it's a challenge, it's a challenge to solve the issue that is causing me to feel that way. And that's the part of this business that I love. And that makes me better for the next time, is knowing that I faced a problem, I figured out how to solve it. And now when that pops up again in another transaction, I know what to do. And I can warn my clients ahead of time that if this happens, this is what we're going to do. So I just wanted to put that out there for you.
Every failure is a learning experience. It shouldn't be taken in the negative vein, but in the vein that you're going to learn from it and it won't happen again, or there's a way that you can correct it and move forward. So it's, we all have things that happen that we want a deal to go through and it doesn't, but we need to look at it and figure out why it didn't and take it as an educational device, so that the next deal we come across, we can correct whatever happened. It may not be you that needs correction. It could be the agent on the other side, but you can figure out a strategy how to deal with that situation if it should ever come up again.
I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. And I would probably just put a asterisk to that, Colleen, to say, use the resources that you're surrounded with and ask for help if you're newer in the business or you have something that you feel is really, wow, this is really going to blow this deal out of the water. It's not going to close. These people are going to be committed to selling. Every one of these has a story to it, right? It's a storyline. And, somebody suffers if it doesn't work, right? Somebody's got their stuff in a moving truck and can't move. Somebody's, devastated because something doesn't happen the way it's supposed to. It's a tremendous balance that we do to try to, take this person, get them into this house, that goes to the next transaction, the chain effect. I mean, I bet you've had cases, Colleen, where like one transaction falls apart and then, 4 degrees away, it affects another agent in your office, right? Well, this
Oh,
one's not closing.
absolutely.
They
But when
can't
you-
buy that one. They can't buy that one. Now my
Yeah,
buyer
when you
over
have
here is going to
the
lose their rate
three-
lock.
The 3 contracts in a row,
Yep.
and the first one's falling apart, so the next 2 aren't going to move forward. You have to find a way to fix it.
But, I can tell by the smile, you usually find that way to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And,
But I've been doing this a long time and I've learned so much from so many different agents. It's not that I'm brilliant, it's that I have that experience and that knowledge from the past when things didn't work.
So, one of the, with your commentary, one of the things that, yeah, thanks, Jay. There's no problems, just solutions. One of the things that come to mind is I remember one of our agents put something in, it's going to be a 30-day close, right? To try to get the offer accepted. And, for whatever reason, the mortgage was coming in slow. There was a delay. Everybody was stressing out, right? They're like, oh my God, they took our offer because we can close in 30 days, and this is a solution that we picked up the phone, we called the other agent, we said, hey, just wanted to check in, things are going a little bit slow on our end. They're like, you know what, my sellers would really like to see if you can give them 15 days or maybe even 3 extra weeks, right? And how many times does that happen where we're rushing to get something done that's contrary to what everybody wants? I mean, to me, that was like, holy cow, like how simple was that, right? And I don't even think we had to say that we needed more time. We just were like, hey, things are just progressing a little slower. How's everything going on your seller side? They were in that house 40 years. They're having a hard time getting everything packed up. Do you think your buyers can wait, 15 days, maybe 3 weeks? And I'm like, boy, that was easy. So anyway, sometimes the solution is really obvious. Sometimes the solution is, just a conversation away with one of the really talented peers in your office or part of the leadership team. Pick up the phone, call, be a sounding board. This doesn't always need to be that difficult. But if I'll send the syllabus out for today to you, and I would encourage everybody to be really specific and not random at what you're looking to get next year. I know Carlos is not normally on these, but it's interesting what motivates him. Remax came out with a new high level award, the Pinnacle Award, right? So before it was Diamond, that's $1 million in commission. So once he'd hit Diamond, he'd kind of back off the jets, right? He's like, hey, I made the highest award. Now he's like, son of a bitch, Rob, now they made it Pinnacle. I got to do 2 million. I'm going to talk to Adam about the double Pinnacle, the $4 million award. But anyway, I just leave you with that because it is mindset. And it's planning, it's execution, it's using the resources around you to serve your clients, get leverage on yourself so that you can not only have the economic output from this business but have the confidence that it's going to happen and the enjoyment of the process, right? Because this can be a great business when things are going well. It's like, I can't believe I get paid for this. And it can be, this deal fell apart. I put all this work in, got nothing. Right, Colleen? You've seen both of those, right? And when things are going great, they're like, this business is awesome. I can't believe it. Another commission check. Wow. And other people are like, this third deal that fell apart. And what's the difference? It's here. It's not luck. Okay. It's a solution mindset. It's strategic planning. It's measuring. It's accountability. It's learning. It's leveraging resources. All of those things that get you to that finish line. So anyway, I'm glad to have this conversation. If you're planning on going to the picnic tomorrow in New Jersey, it's postponed a week due to rain. It will be the following Saturday. So spread that word. I think we had some really great responses. I think a fair amount of you have already recommitted for the following Saturday, which will be our fall celebration, not Halloween. I think Halloween would be a little bit awkward on the 6th. And I wish everybody a great weekend. Does anybody have any questions?
So there's no
Wrap it up?
costumes?
No costumes, Jay. Sorry. I know you bought one and you're all psyched for it, but save it for next year. All right. Everybody have a productive, great weekend. Do some thoughts about how this is going to be the best year ever next year, and lean into our leadership team to help you. We're here to hold you accountable if you want. It's part of what we do, and together we can do anything. Have a good one. Yes, go sell
Thanks,
something,
Rob.
Jay.
Take care, Rob. Thank you.
Bye-bye.